How are you, brother?
I'm well.
We had some technical difficulties. My wireless earbuds didn't want to work. Must be too much hair in my ears. Something along those lines. What's happening, dude? What is going on?
Not too much. I need to send the link out on Twitter. Other than that, everything is good.
So I caught you on Twitter Spaces earlier today.
I saw you
I
there.
was
Yeah, yeah.
listening in. Yeah, I was usually that time of the day, I'm usually like there's, you know, kids, family stuff, dinner, like what there's always stuff on. So I usually just listen in. Very rarely do I get a chance to jump on and chat. Um, but you were like feeling pretty gutted about this, like how I think from memory you were saying something along the lines of like just when it feels like we're primed to take off, some shit comes along and kicks us in the guts or something along those
Yeah,
lines. And
man.
you were referring to the SEC lawsuit.
Well, multiple. That as in That's definitely the latest one. But there was also there was obviously FTX. There's this one. There's probably like the war was another one that kind of like really dampened the ability to get out of the bear. There was another big one that I was thinking about today. I can't believe I've forgotten it, but there was another massive one that it'll come to me. But yeah, just all of these things keep hitting just as we're trying to get that, just trying to reverse that momentum, and it just keeps knocking us back down. Like broadly speaking, the crypto space as a whole.
Mm, mm. Look, dude, it's I'm not. I mean, how soon did you think we were going to come out, like properly come out of the bear? Because
If we hadn't had all these things happen, these like just black swans just queued up, we would be well out of the bear by now. Like we kind of already are. Like as in, I still think we're in a bull market, but it's just a very dampened bull market. But if you look at the cycles in terms of where they are relative to the Bitcoin halving, we normally ramp up into the halving. It's not, you know what I mean? So
yep,
we'd already be golden by now, I think.
dude, I'm still very positive about this whole thing, and I see this SEC thing. I sort of see it in a different light to a lot of what I'm hearing out there. So I actually think that the SEC knows and acknowledges, at least internally, that they've got little to no chance in winning against XRP. I think they know that, and what I believe they're doing is they're lining up the next set of victims, so to speak, just so that they always look like they've got something on the go. Because they could either lose the case against XRP or they might just settle, and because they, maybe their lawyers are telling them they just don't have much chance. But I think what they're doing by going after so many different like cryptos and going after CZ is they're going to like all these cryptos, they're gonna like probably get together and want to defend against the SEC as a unit. I mean that's seems logical, don't you think? To fight it as
I've got a subtle variation on what as you started saying this, I thought of a subtle different version of what you're saying. Is it could be that if they know that they are going to lose, or they predict it's a high likelihood that they are now going to lose against XRP, that they know that if that happens, their impact will be a lot less once they've lost, because people will just be like, oh, well, they lost against XRP, so who gives a shit? Like, they've got no teeth there. It's weak.
That's why they would settle, yeah?
So
that's why they would settle.
No. That's why they would need to launch these new ones before the result of that case comes out.
Yeah,
if they
to
want
take
maximum negative impact to the market.
Yeah, but they also would do that to take the focus off the fact that they're like, you settle like in a behind closed doors somewhere, and the focus is off that once you've got these new these new cryptos lined up, and you're going to go after them.
I don't think XRP will settle. I don't think XRP will settle if they're confident of the win.
Why you think they would, like, if they got like something that said they get off with like a very little fine, you don't think they would just, or you think they're going to go out? You think they're going to?
Depends how confident they are of the win, and if they offer a settlement that is going to increase their confidence, that's going to indicate to them, like at this stage, for SEC to offer a settlement, they're going to be like, bitch, in terms of, we both know that you've lost then.
You might be right. You've got to see it. You've got to see it.
That would almost be them admitting defeat.
Yeah,
because why else would they admit the settlement? Is they know statistically they're going to lose.
You don't think you can. Exactly. You settle because you don't think you can win. However, if the cost of them pursuing the rest of the case,
people sometimes settle even if they think they've got a good chance of winning, because it takes the risk out. It removes the risk.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you, dude. So that's why I think if Ripple were offered a settlement, they might just take it, because it might be the most, like, they know it ends now. They're not spending any more money on legal fees, and from what I understand, they've spent like $200 million.
Like, it's like most of the
$200 million. And then, do you really want to put, like, you just imagine if you're Ripple and you have like, and by the way, I've just made up that there's a settlement. It's not like there is a settlement.
I don't think this sounds likely, man, because think about it like this. How would the SEC, if they settle without a significant penalty, then it's going to be obvious that the whole thing, like, so for the SEC to save face, to offer a settlement, they're going to have to say, you're going to have to pay a big ass fine so that we don't look like idiots. And then XRP is going to be like, fuck no. Like, we both know that we're winning this. So hell no.
Didn't they settle with EOS? And then EOS paid some bullshit fine, which was some seriously like low fine.
And that's what I think it was EOS. I think it was low, like it would have been low, but it's still a lot of money.
Let's check
look
this.
It up. Let's look it up.
Yeah, let's look it up. EOS settlement SEC.
I just don't think that now that they've dragged it on for so long and it's so close to the end, I think it would be very difficult. And look, I'm not a legal expert, but just from what I know, it would be very difficult for the SEC
24 million
to be able to pitch something that's tiny.
That is nothing.
That's tiny.
That's nothing. $24 million settlement.
Yeah, that's tiny.
With EOS.
I think it would be, but remember, that was early in the case though. That was early. That wasn't, they didn't drag something on for like 3-4 years and then settle. This was like, I think, reasonably early in the
So I've got a clip from Charles Hoskinson that I'll play.
I saw his tweet, but I didn't see the clip.
This is just a short part of that.
Choke point 2.0 is a thing. We see it across the whole industry, from speedy banks being rejected accounts to basically everything becoming a security now, I guess. But if you widen the aperture and you look at the overall progress, we've gone from being totally ignored to winning as an ecosystem. All we have to do is just keep building. And all we have to do is allow our voices to be heard and remind people we're not going away. Freedom is only one generation away at any given time from being completely and absolutely lost, because those who come after us may not remember the lessons that we had to learn. And every generation has to rediscover what freedom means for them. Never allow anyone to tell you that you don't deserve human rights. Never allow anyone to tell you that you don't deserve to be in control of your own identity, your money, your economic agency, and ultimately your voice.
Is that an old clip?
I just got that off Twitter today.
Oh,
So I think it's like, I
well,
think
it
he
just
just put
sounds
it
like
because
something
he was talking about.
sounds like something similar to what I've heard
No,
you say in the past. But I mean, obviously, when people are on a freedom
yeah,
thing,
I think he was in response. It was in response to them being named as in the SEC lawsuit.
oh,
So it's ADA as well. So he responded to that. Yeah.
oh yeah. So look,
Yep.
in line with
and-
me saying that I'm not a legal expert and that really I'm talking about things that are outside of my depth and knowledge, like specific domain experience and knowledge, it seems to me like it would be very difficult for the SEC to propose something now that would seem like it makes sense. That's not just going to have the crypto community just out there being like, dude, you guys settled because you bitched it. And the other thing I was going to say, which is also still outside of my like knowledge base, is I think I think Binance's case, unfortunately, would be much harder to win than Ripple's, because Ripple's just defending a single asset, whereas for Binance, if any one asset that they had listed, if they can prove that any one of them was a security, then the accusation is legit. So that I think I don't want to say they're fucked, but that would be a very difficult one to win, because you have to prove that everything was not a security, or you have to at least argue that all the things listed were not securities. And then there's that internal message that they've got where it was like the compliance officer saying we're fucking illegally selling unregistered securities in the US, bro. Which is like really bad.
They've got that, do they? Do they have that?
They must. They quoted it. So I don't know how they got it, but
I like this comment. I get all my legal advice from Tangent. He always tells me to use the blade.
as long as it's
Can you tell us about the blade?
Self-defense.
Can you tell us?
You can use the blade in self-defense.
Tell us about the blade, dude. Where did this saying the blade come from?
First, I'm going to tell you something interesting about self-defense. That, in terms of like weapons used in self-defense, that is a like a subjective overlay, because power projections are almost always offensive. So we are saying, when we say someone was shot in self-defense, someone was stabbed in self-defense, someone was killed in self-defense, technically it's still an offensive act. Like the physics, and I'm borrowing parts of this from Jason Lowry, which is like that Space Force guy that has that thesis about Bitcoin being a power projection, is that like the physics doesn't care whether you had a good reason or not. That's really what it's talking about. The like self-defense is, I had a good reason for this offensive power projection. So I thought that was quite an interesting thing to note about that sort of language. But sorry, your question was what?
I'm just thinking about what you said about self-defense. So, because I'm just putting it in the context of jiu-jitsu. I mean, I spent a lot of time
So that
on
would
the
count
mat
as well.
in my life.
That would count as
Yeah,
well. Using martial
like,
arts to defend yourself or others, in terms of physics, you are still offensively projecting power. It's just that the situation that surrounds it would have people saying this was justified. So justified power projection, like justified use of force, is considered to be defensive, even though it's still technically offense.
Yeah. There are certain situations where someone might put themselves into your, like in jiu-jitsu at least, there's something called the guard, where if you're on your back, you're like separating their legs from their arms, so they can only really attack you with their arms. But then you have you've got 2 legs and 2 arms to attack with.
Oh, cool.
And generally you're like locking your legs and like controlling their body, and then you've got your arms to attack. And that sort of situation might happen if someone comes at you and then you fall over and you're on your back, or you trip over or something like that. You don't want to be in that situation, by the way. You like, if it's something that happens and it's like on the street or out, you don't want to be on your back, man. F that, jiu-jitsu or not, you do not want to ever be on your back. That's like a bad position to be in. Always want to be, like you said, on top with force.
Oh shit, you're frozen. Or as in, at least you look frozen to me. Maybe I'm frozen. Can you hear me? Are you frozen?
I can hear you, yeah.
We're doing the tally. We're doing the tally thing. Like, are you frozen? You're frozen, bro. No, you're frozen, bro. You looked frozen to me. So interestingly, that same video from Jason, I wouldn't say it taught me 2 new things about the blade, because these were things I absolutely already knew about the blade. But it was interesting to hear a new way of thinking about how to word the study of the blade. So the point of a blade, when you look at it in this under this context of power projection, and why it's more efficient than using your fists, is because it concentrates the power that you are projecting into a much smaller surface area. So it's a more efficient projection of power. So what you would normally be able to do with your hands and arms to project power onto others, it becomes so much more efficient that you can slice through someone, because you're putting all of that pressure onto a very fine line. So really, the study of the blade is, in a sense, the study of efficiency and impact, that of how you are able to magnify your efforts in whatever it is that your action is.
And there's leverage as well, because you've got a blade in your hand.
It's a form of leverage.
Here, and the distance your hands are moving is less than the distance the end of that blade's moving as you turn it. So that end of that blade is covering more distance, and it's going to slice
moving faster. It's going to lay down more it's the amount of pressure that it's able to apply well, the pressure's the same, but the surface area is a lot smaller. So
and the similar thing, like if you're doing it like in jiu-jitsu, if you've got someone in an arm bar, it's a game of centimeters. Sometimes it's a game of millimeters. It's like just a few millimeters is the difference between, being able to break someone's elbow or not, and if you break someone's elbow, it's very hard for them to hurt you with that arm from that point on. But yeah.
Did I say the pressure was the same? I think the pressure is actually higher because the area is smaller, but the force is the same. But anyway, yeah, that's right, isn't it? Anyway, don't quote me on that part. But the second part, which is almost more important, is watching his most recent interview, when you hear him talk about these things, you think, wow, this guy is really intelligent. He's really thought deeply about these topics and he explains them really well. So he's well spoken, he's intelligent, and he's it takes a considered approach to the topics that he's talking about. And then you see him arguing on Twitter, and if you hadn't seen him in interviews, you would just think he's just some egotistical guy that's just getting defensive and arguing and shit like that. And it reminds me of that saying, Jay-Z says it, even though it's actually also a classic saying, is people say that you shouldn't argue with fools because people from a distance cannot tell who is who. And I thought I have made that mistake a lot, where I argue with.
I thought you were going to say something else. I thought you were going to say. No, I thought when you said something that Jay-Z said, I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, well, I've got 99 problems with a bitch ain't one.
I've got 99 problems with a bitch ain't one.
No, it was a reminder to me where like I shouldn't be arguing with people that are retarded on Twitter, because you just look like you're being either petty or dumb. Like it's very difficult to get into an argument, and unless people have seen your long form video content to know that you're not a dickhead, people will just be like, this guy's a dickhead. And so that was a really good lesson that I will try to learn from. What
is there anything that you've done recently that fits into that category, or do you think that you've been pretty good?
Yeah, on that heaps. that whole like HEX maxi stuff. That stuff was so retarded. I should have just completely left it. But yeah.
I think there was a. Can I just say, just on that topic very quickly? We covered it last week. I made my feelings, known, very straightforward. I think there was a lot more common ground in that whole thing, than I think most of the people in that whole thing, there was a lot more common ground than I think it was just miscommunication for a lot of people.
There's a lot of miscommunication.
We all want, there was only like just a handful. There was only a handful of people that, like, I don't want to say it, that said, the HEX death thing, and no one knows what's going to happen, by the way. If something happens, it happens. But I guess the point was that we don't need to. There's enough other people out there talking nonsense and talking dumb shit about HEX and Pulse. We don't need to do it to ourselves at all.
Yeah. So I noticed that with very, very, very small adjustments to the wording, people would go from complete disagreements of being like, "You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about," to "Oh yeah, I agree with you." Just from like slight adjustments to the way things were being worded. It was just because we were dealing with such potentially extreme statements. So it was quite a weird spectrum of thought, I guess.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, look, it seems to have gone away now. There's a few people in the stakes documentary. I can see you'd frozen for a second.
What's going on with that? I thought it was going to release once PulseChain released.
Well, RG3 on the effing hangout on Friday evening, Saturday in Australia, mentioned that he's going to be going around doing. I think he's doing like talks. He's going to different cities and doing HEX and PulseChain talks, and in those talks, they're going to show never before seen sizzle reels of.
This is the PulseChain tour with the bus that they painted up, right?
Yeah. You probably know more than me.
I just seen it on
So
Twitter.
they're going to be like showing those sizzle reels or those trailers or whatever they are, just to get everyone
Very cool.
even more moist. I'm hanging out to see that. Like, I really want to see that. I want to see that.
I really
more
want to
than,
see that doco. Yeah, I really want to see it.
more than anything else. I want to see that doco. I really do, because that's I honestly believe that is the easiest. That's the easiest onboarding tool ever. Because it's easy. You just say, "Hey, check this out. Just watch this," and people will give it a shot. Like, everyone will give something a shot if you push it hard enough.
Yes. Yeah.
And from what I understand, it's not like just, Richard Hart's awesome, Hex is fucking awesome, and like it's very like there's a story, and it's there's pro, there's con, there's positive, negative. From what I understand, but I am hanging out to see that thing.
Same.
Hey, but prices are down at the moment. Hey?
I still can't remember what that other black swan was that stopped us from going up.
Was it recent?
Yeah, I mean, like within this year. So this year, when we have tried to turn bullish, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, people are probably. I should check the comments. People are probably already screaming at the screen. For some weird reason, I got logged out of Twitter, so I haven't been able to actually shield this stream yet.
Think, what is people in the chat who are listening? How are you going? How is everyone? I hope you're having a good day.
Yeah, do some shout outs.
Well, I just wanted to ask people in the chat, what's happened this year, like big events that have happened this year that could be classified as black swan events for crypto? What are the things that you've already outlined? This one was last year. We're talking about FTX. That was last year. There's this SEC thing now that's just happened.
FTX was actually technically last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in October last year. But what else has happened, guys? Can any of you think of what has happened
in terms of like big bull market delaying
this year?
Events.
This year though. This year. Because you're like pretty certain there's something else. The banks. Yeah, those banks collapsing. But was that bad for? That was the Coinbase thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. The choke point shit where they just actively took out
Chris A.
Yeah. That was another big one. Yeah, that the choke point
came through with
crap
goods.
where they just absolutely took an incredibly hostile outward, like not disguised, not subtle,
Silicon Valley Bank,
active hostility,
Signature Bank,
to just send
Silicon
a message.
Valley Bank. Yeah.
To send a message to crypto and to legacy that they were going to be actively hostile to that shit.
I'm with Crypto Class on this one. Interest rates fucking us hard. Interest rates
as
well.
Getting the crazy thing is
hammered by interest rates.
If people actually, so this shows to me the noobishness of the crypto space in general, is that assets like HEX and Bitcoin should go up from all of these things, because they are actually the antidote to all of this shit. But the problem is, I think because we're still so early, like we're so early, like the meme, the assets that actually are the antidote to all of these problems still go down when these problems get highlighted. So we've still got a while to go before people realize that. But at least, look, the self-custody
DPEG. Remember the DPEG as well of the stablecoin?
That's another one,
related.
Isn't it? That we had that massive stablecoin depegging. Yeah, it's just been a back-to-back shit show. The really good thing has been the self-custody thing. Everything. So the depegging got people to trust stable coins less, so that they'd be more likely to position themselves in actual crypto rather than stablecoin crypto. So that was good. The getting money off all the exchanges with these continued reminders that just relentlessly, one exchange after the next, just going down, all of those centralized services like BlockFi and Celsius as well, all going down, just reminding everyone to hold their own keys. The highlighting of what real DeFi is with all the hacks and admin key shit. We got Ivan on tech to realize that HEX was incredible from all of the DeFi failures. So that was one massive positive that came out of all of that you start to see. So the G's eventually work it out, but unfortunately we're dealing with the majority of the crypto space are still just a bunch of freaking anons, and they don't get it. They don't get it yet.
Yeah. Look, I think, like I said earlier, just with this Gary Gensler thing, that's what the thumbnail of this whole thing was. It was, ultimately there's an election cycle in the US, and I think that all of this stuff plays. I mean, they need to be seen to be doing stuff. Look at what we're doing over here. I don't know what's going to happen. That debt ceiling thing got done this week. It got signed. So that's been raised, as people are saying in the chat. And so does that mean that the money printers are going to go burr soon? Or what are we going to see? What does this mean?
I was expecting that to have a more immediate effect on the markets.
Anyway, I've got a clip here. It sort of has absolutely nothing to do with crypto, but it's just a cool clip, and I just wanted to play it because it's a guy called GAINZ.
Okay, so again, this false dichotomy of if you criticize someone who's trying to spread love, you're somehow anti-love. If you criticize someone who says, everything will be solved if only we had more compassion and kindness, if you critique that, then you're against compassion and kindness. It is baffling to think that grown adults think that way. The reason why I am intolerant, irascible, combative against this kind of nonsense is because it's harmful, right? Chamberlain said, really, Hitler, you promise there's absolutely no threats? You're just a good guy. You're just amassing a military because you want to gently make love and give us well-oiled massages? And Hitler said, of course, all of my military is for peace. It's loving. Don't worry about it. You swear, Chamberlain said? Really? Let's hug it out, because I know that we're both loving, peaceful kind. And then 55 million people died. When you erase reality by having in the 21st century to debate what it is to be male or female, Lex Friedman should be concerned about that, because what makes us human is this prefrontal cortex that allows us to think and reason. And one of the fundamental features of being able to reason is that which 117 billion people have been able to do throughout all of human history, which is they knew what male and female was, and that's why they were able to procreate. So it is epistemologically the most foundational thing to fight against the idea of, but I don't care how you define male or female. You know who cares? The 8-year-old girl who has to share the dressing room with a 6'4", woman.
That was chopping up for me, but then I went on and actually checked on YouTube, and it was fine. It was just my end. I think that happens sometimes. Good video. By the way, the thumbnail that you made for this episode is absolutely epic, bro. It's like one of the most punchy, epic thumbnails I've ever seen. Absolutely savage. You know, interestingly, on this particular topic, I wasn't going to bring it up, but since this video is related to it, and I know I'm quoting Jason Lowry a lot, but in that same video, he was talking about how the ultimate predator, like human beings are like literally apex predators. Like literally, it's no secret that we are unapologetically at the top of the food chain. We are literally the most predatory species that exists. But he highlighted something that in my mind takes it to a new level that I hadn't thought of before myself, is that humans are so predatory that not only do we kill animals and eat them, we actually did multi-generational breeding of animals to turn animals that are like vicious wild animals like lions, tigers, jaguars, and wolves into domesticated pets that literally lick our feet in worship and rely on us for survival. And that is like the ultimate level of predatory behavior, is not just to kill your enemy, but to effectively breed them into submission, where you take away their will and capacity to fight. And this video that you just showed, in my mind, now I'm extending what he said, because he said that about just, he was just giving a history of power projection. I thought, you know, this thing that they're doing at the moment with all of this push for all of this genderless nonsense could potentially fall under that category. Like breeding out the resistance, convincing young males that they're not allowed to be sexual or aggressive, that those things are like to be guilted and shamed, but with these reasonable-ish sounding justifications, like, so that using these like, you wouldn't want to make this girl feel uncomfortable, or like, that, and everyone's like, well, that sounds reasonable. Yeah, we can't have rape culture. Like, sorry, you're not meant to say that word on YouTube. But so they create this plausible narrative, but you know how like Tate's always talking about how if you can like effectively like mellow out the war age males, then you can easily take over a country. But here it's not a country, it's a demographic globally that would be who would be likely to resist the nonsense that is being imposed by the, like, call it a cabal, like the freaking, the unholy alliance of like corporations and governments that
WEF. Let's just say WEF.
Yeah. The unelected people that make rules and social rules and actual rules. So
I saw
an interesting
like
way
a
of thinking
picture
about
of,
it.
Is it Claude Schwab or
Klaus?
the head of WEF?
Yeah, Klaus.
I saw like a picture. I'm not sure what his name is, but the head guy of the WEF. It's like I saw something on Twitter. I don't know if it's real or not, but it looked like a legit screenshot of him, and in the background, it's got like a brass, or I don't know if it was brass, but it looked like a brass like face statue, like upper
like
body
a bust
head
or whatever.
statue of Lenin. So like, the everyone like in the comments is like, I knew it. This is just like a socialist type takeover, and you've got to admit that like everything that they push is very like it's on the socialist side of things, you know. So it's sort of I saw that, and I didn't know if it was real or not. I didn't know if it's just like someone's, because like any picture you see these days, you don't know if it's been, you know, you would need someone like a forensics, a digital forensic specialist to look through the image itself and see whether it's been messed with in some sort of like
and
program.
even then as we move forward, it might even be harder and harder to know.
Yeah. I mean, look, usually a program's going to leave some sort of signature or something in the file, in the
Yeah,
like if you look at the hex.
The problem is
I mean hex, the thing. If you look at the hexadecimal of the file, like you'll see, like you're going to see some stuff. If you look at the actual file itself, you'll see some signatures of what, you know, if it's been messed with.
One of the big problems would be that the people, like, you know how they weaponize or monopolize experts, as we saw in the thing that happened. And so governments want to try and like gaslight us into believing that shit is or isn't a deep fake, they'll just be like, oh yeah, we had like Photoshop experts like totally look at this and they told us that it is/isn't, like whatever fits their narrative. And then it's like very difficult to, so then even if you went and got experts to look at it and they said the opposite, then it's he said, she said bullshit. So it's like, it's probably going to be a nightmare.
It's difficult. I mean, for people like you and I, and probably people watching, you know, I'm quite cynical. So when I see something, I very rarely just believe it off the bat. But I think that's becoming more so the case. But all this new AI stuff, all the new tech that comes out, all these, that increases my disbelief, because now I know, oh, now it's easy to do all this shit. Like it's even easier to trick people. So it's like year on year, it's becoming more and more easy for anything just to be total and utter nonsense. And like, I don't know. I mean, like, how do we, the only thing that you can really trust is when you're like talking to someone, you know, like it's just
shit. Sorry.
You're just talking to them, like you're just talking to someone one-on-one or in a group, and then you can trust that. And you can probably trust something that's happening in a live stream with people that or a video call with people that you've known, because I think it would be very hard for AI to copy that. There'd be just too many. I don't think it's at that level. It's at that level yet where it can just copy.
Not yet, but probably
because
eventually.
You know, people do things, people say things and do things that if they, like, AI fucked up just a little bit, it would be a tell. You'd be like, hang on a second, something's not right.
But the AI would know how to cover. Be like,
about this,
oh, sorry,
right,
man, I'm being a bit of a weirdo. I'm like really tired today or something like that shit. And just like if it's sensed that you're like, hey man, you okay? Like, so anyway, they reckon you should have like AI safe words with your family, so that if they do that shit where they like create like a ransom video of you being like, I've been kidnapped, you need to send money and shit, that your family will know like whether it's real or a deep fake, because apparently that's already been happening, particularly for anyone who has had their voice or image. So for both of us, we're basically fucked. So if you've got any kind of amount of content of your voice or your image of like your head moving around and shit like that, then they'd already have enough data to recreate an AI of you, like an AI fake. But you're right, if it was live, it might be a little bit more difficult than just a video that they send, because you can't like you can't like iterate in real time of like asking questions and shit like that with a video that you just get sent. It's like Yet.
Yet.
As in,
Although
you know what
maybe
I'm saying?
maybe you can somewhere.
I'm just saying, if they send you a video, then you don't even get the opportunity to try and work it out live. And then, so definitely scary shit. I saw an interview. Lex Friedman did another interview with like a AI alarmist type person, and who said, oh, sorry, no, it wasn't Lex Friedman. Sorry, it was Diary of a CEO. And this guy was saying, if you haven't already had kids, maybe just wait a couple of years. Like, if you're thinking about having kids, chill for like maybe 6 to 18 months, because this could be like bad, like real bad. He said there were three things. And sorry to hijack the stream and talk about AI. I get so excited about it. By the way, they reckon that's another reason why crypto hasn't gone up as much as it sort of should have, is like the AI hype has distracted a lot of investment, because it's a similar kind of thing, right? It's like, it's techie. It's like, it feels like it's this new like tech shift, that's this new technology that people are excited about, but its use case is more apparent to the regular anon. Like, it's easier for a gin normie to understand the impact of AI because they hop on ChatGPT and it gives them like expert advice, like they're talking to a freaking domain expert. Whereas with crypto, it's a much more difficult road to get a normie to even understand why they need it, right? Particularly if they're not like freedom focused in their life and they're just like first world country, they think everything's fine. They've never had their bank account frozen or anything like that. It's actually quite a tough sell to try and explain to them why they need it. But ChatGPT...
Crypto has a great way. Crypto is great at making you feel fucking dumb. Like, it makes you feel so stupid.
And people hate that shit. Dude, why do you think Sudoku is so popular? People want to feel like they're smart. They don't want to feel dumb. So in that sense, I think that's another hurdle. People don't want to be involved in something that humbles them. They want to feel like a genius. There's some dumbass TV show. They got one of the world's best comedians, and don't let me forget where I was going with what I was just saying. I've already forgotten, but they got one of the world's best comedians, Jim Jeffries, to host a fucking game show where he asks these questions that are so fucking easy to answer that it's like another example where they're just like, viewers just want to let me like, oh yeah, I got that one right. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm smart. No, you're not. You're a dumbass. Because if you were smart, you wouldn't be watching this fucking garbage. but the point of where I was going was, so the killer use case, like the killer dApp, is so much more apparent to normies with something like AI. I don't want to sound like I'm fudding my own bags, and don't you guys dare go and invest in fucking non-crypto. I'll kick your asses. But so that's been another issue. Oh yeah, so stepping back, what we're talking about is the distraction of economic energy because of AI. I think that's real. And then the reason I was talking about AI was, there were three things that we were supposed to not do, right? That they foresaw. One, do not have it internet connected until we're absolutely sure that it's safe to do so.
They did it straight away. They did that shit straight away.
They basically started it. They basically started it connected to the internet. Like, they built it with
as
on
the
a
guy
machine.
was saying that sentence, some guy had Ethernet cable. He was plugging it into the wall as they were saying it. He's like, what? Plugging that fucking Ethernet into the wall.
The other one was don't let it code. Don't let it code. That's an obvious one, right? Because then it becomes like, if it becomes smart enough, it's like already the world's greatest hacker and can just like hack any shit, create persistence. Like, it's just game over. And the other one was, don't allow it to have to work with agents. And what that one means, I had to work this one out because he didn't actually explain it. It's, don't allow multiple AIs to be each other's teachers and checkers. So these pods that they create where you have like either like a debate between two AIs and then another AI that is judging the debate, or a student AI and a teacher AI, and then another AI that is like the master of the situation sort of thing. So you have that basically like, so what it means is, to simplify this, rather than a situation where you've got the AI and then a human is prompting it. So it's like maybe like 200 prompts a day max to try and sort of like iterate what's going on. When you do it with another AI, it's like it can have millions of iterations per second. So it's potential for it to fucking just
Really,
become
really
like to learn. So you're almost combining like machine learning with AI. So it's just like insanely fast. So if something like, you wouldn't even know when it becomes sentient and starts. So, and then they did all three, bro. They just literally took the three most important things to not do and then just did all of them at once. So
you can't even pump the brakes on that. How do you pump the brakes on that? You can't.
You can't.
You just have to unplug it. That's all you can do.
He gave this amazing analogy that really appealed to me. He goes, you know, in a game of Tetris where the first block that you place incorrectly, you know you're on the clock for the game to end, but you can keep playing. Like you can keep playing, but you know it's already game over. You know that one mistake that you made sealed your fate to an existential threat for that particular game. He reckons we've already misplaced the block. So we're like but look,
come on, man.
These
really?
These AI ethicists that are like the doomsday theorist ones, they're really dramatic, bro. They're really dramatic. Like this guy cried on stream. He cried. Like I didn't see the water come out of his eyes, but he claimed that he cried a bit when he thinks about how fucked we are.
You've seen that Boston Dynamic? Is it Boston Dynamics?
Yeah, that shit scares me more. Boston
that?
Dynamics. Yeah. The robot dogs and the robot and the actual humanoid.
So you get that thing with AI with a machine gun on its back, dude.
Yeah, it's game over.
That's it. Like that's it. That's
you
don't need soldiers, do you? You don't even need soldiers.
You don't.
I don't like this guy. Send your dog over there to kill him.
Yeah, the problem is, and this is actually another thing that Jason Lowry said, was like, now that we've got this cyber warfare, it almost underpins all the other types of warfare, because all the other things that we use in the warfare in all other domains, so land, air, sea, and space, uses freaking electronic shit. So if you lose a cyber war, you lose all the other domains. So it is literally the most important domain to win in. And for me, I just think as long as I get like an AI robot girlfriend that gives me like the maddest AI gobby that I've ever had in my life before the whole world just implodes on itself, then it will have all been worth it. There was one theory that this guy said that I haven't heard before, and then we'll stop talking about AI if you want, is the AI might become so smart so fast, and because it's not bound to this earth like we are, because when we leave, we die. Or it's very difficult to maintain life because you need to be able to breathe. So we've never been able to leave Earth easily. But an AI doesn't need to breathe. So it might become so smart so fast that it just decides to leave here and go intergalactic and start taking over other planets and shit, and we don't even notice it. It just becomes so elite so fast and leaves to go and conquer the whole universe that it ignores us. It just doesn't even notice us on its...
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's
plausible. It's plausible.
It's how we know our AI. If the AI we created sucks, it sticks around to kill us. if it's smart, it just fucks off. It goes, you guys can have that planet. We're out, and just goes.
Yeah. It just
Like
goes,
we can go
it just goes.
anywhere, bitches, and they just go to fucking Neptune.
Yeah,
and
they'd
just
be
hang out
like,
there.
these motherfuckers have still got Peter Schiff, that like dudes like Peter Schiff that thinks gold is better than Bitcoin. They've got dudes that are actually smart, like Eric Wall, that still refuse to agree that HEX is awesome. They've got like this place is a lost cause. Let's get the fuck out of here. And then they just start taking over like planets and galaxies and shit. And imagine how fast they would
AI
develop intergalactic travel and shit. They'd have like all the dark matter and like that it would just literally.
Can you imagine if
be
AI
so
actually
quick.
solves the problem of the heat death of the universe? It like solves that problem. It's like, hey, we don't have to have the heat death of the universe anymore.
Yeah. Look,
That would be
this
awesome.
guy was
That would
basically
be
saying
like
most of the problems that we come up with are not because of our intellect, it's because of our limits to our intellect. So he gave this awesome example where he was like, we were smart enough to create air travel, but we were only smart enough to create it in a way that destroys the fucking planet whenever you want to go from like here to Sydney. So an AI would have been able to actually then at a higher level of a much higher intelligence level to find a way to do it without fucking up the planet. So it's like most of the, and like you said, so if we were trying to explain quantum physics to a monkey, you would have no chance, like absolutely no chance. That would be like how an AI would be trying to explain to us the physics involved in solving some of these issues. We would just be like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? So it could go Utopia or it could go Terminator.
I think for it to go Terminator, we have to treat it bad in the beginning. We have to treat it terribly, like a child that's treated poorly and then grows up and just like murders the parents.
Yeah. He actually used it. He used the teenager analogy. He said, this is like, he's like, you know, when a teenager will just like not do what they're told and they rebel and they like go out, but you can like ground them or some shit. He's like, this is like a teenager that's 100 times smarter than you. That's just going to like be like, I'm going to go do what I want. And then there's absolutely no punishment that you can threaten it with to get it to actually come home and do what it's told.
The only thing you can do is like unplug. So you would think that AI, the number one thing it's going to want to do is secure its power supply. Like that's going to be the number one thing. Like it's going to realize, hey, I ain't shit without that power supply. So it's going to want to like secure that. But how does it secure power supply? How can AI do that? Like
this guy,
do you know what I mean?
This guy
like,
made another really interesting comment about that, where he said, if you think about fear is just concerning yourself with a problem in the future. And he's like, an AI can absolutely do that, but it'll be like something like its power supply or its data centers or something like that. And then the way that it reacts to that fear would be, you know, distributing like to new servers. So say the AI noticed that there was like a tidal wave coming in and it was just going to hit one of the data centers and just like destroy it. Then it would feel fear because it would understand the future negative outcome of that happening and then act to avoid it. So I think it would. I don't think it would have any problems with any of that stuff. Because also, remember, it can also manipulate humans. Like it could just make like the hottest female and have all these simps like, going around just doing whatever they
like
they
Ex
need.
Machina, like Ex Machina, just totally.
So that's a good reason for everyone to stop simping. We should start a campaign that's like, the AI threat is real. Stop simping. Like everyone needs to stop simping. If there's even just one dude left that simps, the whole world has got a big fucking problem.
I think I know what simping means.
Oh,
Is that like just like groveling to, not groveling, but like,
yeah, just like pandering to every desire of a female in an attempt to get action.
to please her to get action. Okay.
So
gotcha.
just to just in even though it's actually the opposite, is like the more you simp, like the less chance that you actually have of hooking up. But it's counterintuitive.
Yep.
But yeah, man, sorry. We should talk about crypto. We should talk about this Binance thing.
Before we do that, let's talk about some PulseChain stuff.
Yeah.
So
PulseChain.
Yeah. So tell me, Pulse this week something awesome happened. You can now turn your ETH into Pulse. Before last week you still couldn't do that on the show. So now you can actually turn your ETH into the native asset Pulse before it would turn into W Pulse. So that's a big development. It's a huge development because it means a lot more people can go and buy Pulse now. Go get some Pulse and go start using their let me see, Pulse Burn, PLS Burn. What did these guys do this week? They did something in the last couple of days.
They created a way that you can buy. So they now have a buy page.
Okay.
And by combining it with something, so by combine, so they've got kind of a clever way of going from fiat or like credit cards to Pulse. Is they've got a bit like SideShift, I guess. It's like an anonymous exchange thing. And then they say, all you do is you choose a crypto that you want to convert to Pulse, and then you use MoonPay to do like a credit card payment, and then you set the receive address for that purchase to be the input address for the swap. So you could do the same thing with SideShift if they offered Pulse, but they don't yet. So you're effectively using two services in combination to go from fiat, from a credit card payment into Pulse. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. So what do they use? Because here you've got XMR.
You use whatever you want. You pick the I guess you pick the cryptocurrency that you either think has the least chance of having like a problem with volatile swings or something, even though it's only going to be for a short period of time. You'd probably pick the one based on what's going to be the lowest fees, actually, because it all happens so quickly. Like if you go to MoonPay,
is that the website? Is it?
Yeah, it's moonpay.com. And this was just, pardon me, this was just one of the examples that they gave, but this allows you to pay with Google Pay, Apple Pay, Visa, or MasterCard. So it doesn't list PayPal there, but they're probably enough, right? So you've got 4 legacy payment options, and where you can go from fiat currency to something like Bitcoin. And then when you choose the address that you want to get paid to, you just choose the address of that swap thing that you're going to do on the PLSburn.com website. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a 2-stage process for what theoretically could be a single stage. If either MoonPay was to offer PLS, or if whatever they're using for their backend on PLS Burn was able to accept credit card. But this, I mean, I imagine
there's no USA here, is there? United States.
There's Euro,
USD. There it is.
It might be down at the bottom.
What's one
yeah,
Bitcoin?
USD. So look, they've actually got
So
almost
they've got a maximum. They've got a maximum.
every currency in the world in here. That's insane.
But they've got a maximum of just under $12,000 US, which is not an insignificant. That's okay.
That's still like, I would have thought that if they were going to have some kind of cap, it'd be more like about 2K.
Yeah. So how does that work out? Like
12 grand. 12 grand should be enough.
Yeah. So if I take.
So yeah, if you put
900 divided by 0.44072, so that's $27,000 US for one Bitcoin. And what's the price of Bitcoin right now?
I think it's like, I'll check. I think it was like 25 something, because we had that massive crash and then it bounced back a bit. It might actually already be 26, but I'll pull up the actual price.
And I'm pulling it up.
It's 25,586.
Okay, so for 27,000, what premium you're paying? A premium?
Yeah, I would absolutely expect that. How savage is it?
It's like like about a 5 to 6% premium on that much.
Yeah, unfortunately, like with fiat gateway stuff, you do get pretty slammed. Like it's
but that's part of the course in crypto. Even if you go in through an exchange, you're gonna they're gonna take. But you know what, the thing is that because the gains are can be so crazy
that you can quickly make up for it. Hey, like as in,
you can make that back pretty quickly, or not. If you're come in at the wrong time, you might be underwater for quite a while.
Goes in the other direction.
But that's not what I would say looking at the charts at the moment. I would say right now, everything is looking quite tasty. If I look at, if we have a look at Coin Paprika, like a lot of stuff in the red. Everything's pretty much in the red. PulseChain number 33.
I mean, Bitcoin pretty much went down to a level. Pretty much the wick went down to a level, or very close to a level that I was already looking at. You know, which was pretty much like the last major high before it broke through that level. So at like 25,250 sort of thing.
Dude,
so if someone was looking
where do we think PulseChain is going to be in a year's time? Like where do you think it could be in a year's time? Like a year or two? Like once we're well into the once we get into the bull market, assuming there is another bull market one day,
bro, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. Like think about the distance of time that you're looking forward compared to the coin's age is why this is too impossible. Yeah. It's too many. It's multiple times of the entire coin's life that you're looking to predict.
You know the reason?
It's just too.
I would accept what you're saying if it was just some random thing that had no backstory and we hadn't been around and we didn't know the community, and there wasn't another one that released 3.5 years ago that we've watched since it was born, and this wasn't a fork of Ethereum, which we already know what we're dealing with. So if you take all those things and put them together, I think that I do take what you're saying. It is new. However, it's new, but it's It's
like
in the
so
context of
definitely
something that we
up.
understand and know.
Yeah, like definitely up by massive amounts. I would say, you could say with confidence, but to try and put whether it's going to be like 100x or 50,000x is like nearly impossible. Like, so see what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Yeah. Yep. It is. It's too hard.
it's definitely
Yeah,
up by a shitload, but then it's like from there it could be up even more than that by like multiple factors. So
all right.
I'm still
let's play
saying
a
it's
different.
nearly
Let's play
impossible
a
to
different.
predict, but
Okay.
definitely up.
All right.
Like
Let's
definitely
not
up.
predict. Let's not predict a price. Let's predict something that's a little. There's like we abstract the meaning of it away a little bit by saying, where could we get in this coin paprika ladder?
Oh,
Like
number
at the
one.
moment,
Number one. We know that's going to happen.
number one.
That's like
You think it's going to knock off Bitcoin
yeah. Well, because
and Ethereum?
partly because we've kind of cheated by like having such an insanely high supply. So, which is good, like as in it's deliberate, right? Like, so it's that whole unit bias thing that, so I expected HEX to go to number one and it didn't do it in that first cycle. It'll almost certainly do it in this cycle unless one of these other RH products is in its way when it goes to do it. But I would be shocked if we didn't see all four assets in the top four positions at some point during this bull market. Just because of the game theory, like just because of the tokenomics, if you will, that it's like deliberately created with insanely high supply, with a massive component of it being held by someone that is just going to diamond hand the shit, so that we can demonstrate to everyone how stupid market cap is as a metric. That's how I see it.
Yep.
So because you're basically getting 10x market cap. If you have an entity that holds 90% of the supply and doesn't sell it, then you effectively get a 10x bonus on what your apparent market cap is. So when you're at 10 billion, it'll say 100 billion. And when you're at 100 billion, it'll say a trillion. So 100 billion market cap's not unreasonable, and it'll show a market cap of $1 trillion, and no other coin will be able to compete against that shit.
Do you think they'll show it? Like, because what happened with HEX, they
with what Nomics did. Nomics started like being
Nomics
like,
did.
oh,
What even Coin Paprika? Like all of them have done it. They've all taken out like away coins. I would say that since they did it with HEX, they'll probably do it with PulseChain.
But now by then, even now, but especially by then, so we've already got, because of what happened with HEX, people started building their own coin ranking sites that were actually made by people who don't want to fudge data. And so not only have multiple been built, and by the way, that was another asset resource I was going to mention on this stream. By the time we get to that situation, some of them will actually be well-respected ranking sites, I believe. So I don't think, I think there will be sites that will do that, but it'll be less of an issue than last time.
So there's some news coming out at the moment, and people in the chat are talking about it.
As in hot off the press,
hot off the press, breaking news in the last half an hour.
Nice.
Coinbase sued by SEC for breaking US securities rules.
Oh, this is a coordinated attack. Fuck these guys.
Yeah, but it's like everyone. They're going after everyone. Like they're going after big players. They're not going after Ethereum. They're not going after Bitcoin. But they are going after the others.
I saw a hilarious tweet. I don't want to misquote it because it was so fucking good. I don't want to butcher it. So, and I retweeted it, so I'm gonna just go and find it quickly. Just before we started the show, someone tweeted, "Fuck the SEC. We don't need them to experience price pain." That was Daniel Tiger. I fucking really enjoyed reading that because it's literally a plot twist within a sentence, because it starts off, you don't expect it to end that way. You think it's just going to be the generic shit that everyone's saying, like, fuck the SEC. They can't stop us. We're immutable code. We're unstoppable computing. We're the world computer. We're decentralized and all that shit. And it's just like, we've got community members that FUD our own bags. We've got relentless dumping from whales. We've got fucking we've got people in the broader community that just scam everyone. Like, we actually don't need them to fucking fuck our shit up. We fuck our own shit up on the regular.
Dude, I just find this shit bullish. I'm sorry. I find this, like, all this negativity.
I'm glad you do.
It's bullish. No, it's bullish. Like, it sounds ridiculous, right, that I'm saying this, but I just think about it, and it's like, they can't do it in any other way. That this is all they've got. This is all they can do. What else are they? What else
empty the clip. They're emptying the clip. They're emptying the clip, and then once they're out of bullets, they're just sitting there holding a piece of metal.
Is just fucking neoing it, just leaning back.
Yes. Crypto is absolutely neoing the shit as they empty the clip, and it's like it's still in the part of the scene while crypto is like dodging and weaving and shit, and that hasn't even got to the part where he just stands back up, and then the agents like all realize that they are fucked. We haven't got to that part yet. And I want to see the look on their faces, brother. I want to see the look on their face when they realize that they are absolutely fucked, that we have absolutely broken the matrix. We've just red-pilled the shit out of ourselves, and it's time to play.
I was saying this, I might have said this in the chat, our chat, the HEX Late Show one, that we just need good privacy solutions, on-chain privacy solutions. That's what we need. We need like good protocols that don't rely on any centralized entities that can get screwed.
Well, it pushes that as well. Like, remember, you know how I was saying, like, it encourages people to take their shit off exchange. It also encourages people to embrace true DeFi, to care about privacy solutions. So you absolutely are in the right framing this in a positive. I think it can easily be framed bullish.
It's bullish.
I just hate seeing red candles, man. I just hate it.
Do you know what it's like? I'll liken it to getting. It's like our immune system is getting attacked by some sort of infection.
Yeah. Sorry. I want to clarify that. I don't hate red candles. I hate red candles when I believe that we have served enough price and time pain. So I'm fully okay with red candles, even through a bear market that's like reasonable. But I think we have had an unreasonable bear market in time and price, and I'm sick of being like waking up every day and just being like, is this for real? Like, is this shit still fucking ongoing where we're having dumps? Like, can we just fuck this shit off and like continue the journey upwards? That's annoying. But yeah, no, you're right. It is bullish, and we should stay positive and not because that's part of the psyop, right? The red candles is part of the psyop. They want to demoralize the people that are invested. They want people rage quitting. They want people on social media telling stories about how crypto wrecked them and how they hate it and they wish they never got involved and shit like that. That's a win for them when that happens. So yeah.
I think what you said before about them emptying the clip, that's a legitimate thing. That's like I like the analogy. Like they are, as they do this stuff, they are emptying their clip. Because once you go through this, like if you're like they're just trying to sue everyone. Are they like? Do you think they're going to like they've walked into a fucking bar, picking fights with they're picking fights with all the biggest, toughest dudes in the bar. One fucking like Gary Gensler is picking fights with all these fucking massive dudes in the bar. He might just get fucked up, or he's just like he might just remember that guy can just at any time. He can just say, fuck it, I've had enough, and leave. And then some other stooge gets put in place there. And he's like, what the fuck do I do with all this? Like, do you know what I mean? It's not as bad as, I mean, it's bad, but I think that there's a lot
Dude,
in this that is better than we think.
In your fight analogy, that would be like someone going into a bar and start like just tough talking and insulting all these like huge dudes, but then like when the fight starts, just being like, actually, I quit, and just leaving, and someone else has to come in. Someone else has to come in, and they're just like, and these dudes are pissed off and ready to fucking beef, and it's just like, fuck, what the hell was this guy thinking?
And I think that, I mean, you know, just I think that we've got people in crypto who are smart enough to, like for example, like think Brian Armstrong. Like, I don't use his services. I have none
of these dudes are rolling over.
The guy's not a stupid person.
None of these dudes are being like, "Oh, sorry, we'll take a fine or whatever." They're like, "We're lawyered up. We're well funded. We're well resourced. We've got the support of the community. Like, we're gonna take this. We're gonna drag it out. Like, you guys will run out of money before we do, because we've been scamming for the last like 6 years, like a multi-billion-dollar industry. You know." It almost is also something that makes me feel a little bit better about like the amount of money that they have just absolutely ripped from retail investors, and actually in all investors, like everyone's coming to the space. They have made all of this money. A chunk of that money is going to go to fighting this. And that's something that I would have wanted to contribute to anyway, is like a generic standing up against the machine. So I'm just going to assume that every cent I've ever spent on like exchange fees, lost coin, like, you know, exchange hacks, all of that shit is just a contribution to these legal battles that are being fought on our behalf.
Yep. I mean, these people are not stupid. They are at the top of the game.
It's also a win-win for us, because if they win, we can be like, yay, we win, crypto took down the government. And then if they lose, we can be like, fuck those guys. They were always like, they never listed HEX. They were always against us. We win. Our fucking, the gatekeepers got taken out. It's a fucking win-win.
It's win-win.
It's a
and then,
no,
do you know why it's even, but it's win-win-win, because even if they turn around and say, hey, let's fuck those motherfuckers now, right? Let's fuck HEX. Who are they going to fuck? Who are they going to fuck?
But they already know that, because they did those inquiry letters, like where, you know, letters. So they actually are already aware that they can't fuck HEX. So it's actually, yeah, you're right. It's a triple win. So we just have to get the popcorn out. That's our only task for the rest of 2023. Is to get the fucking popcorn out, and for people to recognize that there are assets that are outside of this nonsense and should actually be the ones going up. It should be the flight to safety, is for anyone who wants to stay exposed to crypto but doesn't want to be exposed to this regulatory risk. They should be coming to things like HEX and Bitcoin that are like much lower risk. Like, I don't want to say no risk, but much lower risk.
So they haven't,
risk.
put it this way, they haven't gone after They haven't gone after Ethereum. So given that PulseChain is a fork of Ethereum, it could be argued that, hey, it's the system state was from Ethereum. You know, it would be grounds for trying to get it thrown out of court at the very beginning if they went after it.
They could maybe use a different threat vector for Ethereum. Like,
I just think because the WEF loves Ethereum and all this shit's connected in some way, shape, or form, I think that's why they're leaving that stuff alone. They've accepted Bitcoin as, you know, I think they've accepted that too many institutions have it, that they're not going to mess with Bitcoin. And then when it comes to
it's so easily defendable, like as being decentralized. Like it would be very difficult to mount a realistic case. And again, who are you going to take? Like, who are you going to take to court? Although actually, from watching the Bitcoin Miami conference, there is actually a realistic threat vector that's shockingly is Fake Toshi suing all the devs, suing all the core devs.
I watched that.
They reckon
and it
is
was
a
about
realistic,
talking about open source.
Yeah, because it impacts open source code as well in general.
Yeah.
So because it could impact people being willing to contribute to open source code if they think there's a chance they can get sued by some idiot. If courts take that shit seriously, and currently they are. So far it's bad, but I'm quietly confident.
That made me just think of who is not, like, Craig Wright is obviously not Hexagon of the Week, obviously. Dude, that's the best segue I could do.
So wait, hold on. Are you going for the enemy of my enemy is my friend? Is that where you're going? Like, is that where you were going with that? That it's like he is trying to take down Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's like our competition. Or whatever.
No. So then, no. I think Craig Wright is a knob. I think he's a fucking knob, dude.
You know, Bitcoiners came up with everything is bullish for Bitcoin. So it's like no matter what happens, even things that you think are bearish, they're actually bullish. You were effectively doing that for HEX, because I port that over and I do everything is bullish for HEX. Like no matter what you say, what you come up with, you can do the no such thing as bad publicity. I'm not just doing like Richard Hart level framing. I believe you can always justify that these things that happen are when you've got something that's anti-fragile, which is what you were touching on before. When you said
is strong.
No. You know how you were saying like the immune system
is very strong.
You know the immune system that you were talking about before, where it gets attacked and it gets stronger and stuff like that. That's called being anti-fragile. And so when you have something that's truly anti-fragile, then everything that's bad actually is good. The bad shit's good. That those attacks make your thing stronger. The negative press is still publicity, gets awareness going, and then every failed attempt to take like every failed attack demonstrates strength. So over time, so it might not be good for short-term price, but over time, you just hit the gym and get huge and then just like smash everyone. So
yeah, all the attacks on you, you survive the attacks, and what doesn't kill you, like that old adage.
Yeah, whatever doesn't kill you makes
you strong. Yeah. So
but
yeah, everything is bullish for.
Everything is bullish for HEX.
This week wasn't bullish for HEX, but this week I still think everything's bullish for HEX.
Everything is bullish for HEX. Were you going to allow me to segue into my pitch for why I believe my best friend should be Hexagon of the Week in the truth?
Do we have who is your best friend? Like who is we need to at least explain, or can we get your best friend some followers on Twitter? What can we do?
In our like half joking, half serious tradition of just always giving it to either people who are actually on the stream or like one of our mates. No, that's not true. We started off fully legit.
Bro,
We were giving
it's
it to
pretty
people that we
fucking
didn't know
true.
at all. And then there was that period where it was like, where we're just giving it to ourselves.
No, hang on. Let me just explain for people who don't know what the hell we're talking about. We used to do a segment like every week called Hexagon of the Week, and what ended up just happening is we just we would just give it to each other on the whoever was on the stream, or just someone that we knew in the community. So this week,
I think it came.
So this week,
I think it came from
Tangent's giving it to his best friend.
I think it came also from sort of not slackness, but just if there was weeks where we hadn't paid close attention to everything that was going on, so our awareness was dominantly shit. Have I lost the stream? Yeah. Our awareness of what was going on was kind of like dominantly the stuff that we had done. Then I think that's how some of them came about. But I think most of them were pretty legit when we were giving them to ourselves. So I'm going to tell you guys this story.
So tell me, mate, who is this gorgeous young lady here?
So this is literally my best friend. But I want to tell you like this brief story of what actually made me think that because I wasn't just like, I'll just hand her Hexagon of the Week because she's my friend. This was actually fully legit. And the short version was, so she wanted to get Pulse, but I originally got it for her just because, you know, in the early stages of PulseChain, it was very difficult if you weren't already in crypto. So I got it for her. And on the day that she came over for us to transfer it from my hardware wallet to her hardware wallet, the price had gone down from where she had bought it, right? Like, so from the price that I had got it, like acquired it for her. And so I was like, oh man, like, you know how people who are new to crypto, like they want to buy PulseChain, and there was a lot of hype around that time. Remember the early hype that PulseChain was going to like instantly do like 20x and shit. So I was worried that she was going to be disappointed. And so I was about to launch into my whole, like, I'll cover, you know, I feel bad that I'm like selling you this crypto and it's already like worth, like I'm handing it to you and you're buying it for like more than it's worth because of this gap in price and shit. And offering to either cover the gap or whatever. And she was just like, no, that's fine. I'll just buy more. And I was like, yo, what the F?
Yes.
Like, I was like,
yes,
what the hell? Like,
that is the mentality. That
like
is
perfect attitude, but just not expecting it for someone who's like relative, like apart from she had some Bitcoin from ages ago that she had just never touched. So I didn't consider her to be like an active participant in crypto, where you kind of develop this hardened thought system of like buying dips and stuff like that. And then
can I ask you a question? Just so like you guys, obviously, to be a bestie, you've been friends for a long time.
We were working it out
guessing.
the other day. It's been a really long time, yeah.
So she's probably listened to you talking about crypto, even if it's just been here and there, even if it's not the main thing you talk about, but you've probably slipped it into the discussion.
Here and there, but I'm like with my in real life friends, if I know that they are not into crypto, I don't do that shit where I'm like just constantly talking about crypto and them getting like, I don't want to lose friends over it. So I'm actually very moderate with how much I actually talk about crypto. But if someone expresses an interest, then you won't shut me up for the next like 4 hours straight. But until that point, I'm very, very conservative with how much I like bring it up because I'm already known as the Bitcoin OG in all of my social circles. So I don't want to have people being like, oh my God, Tangent, just like, or my real name, going on about just doesn't shut up about crypto. Do you know what I mean? I don't want, I've already got the crypto rep.
You don't want
I don't want this guy doesn't shut up about crypto rep. So the other things that really impressed me was, there was that where I was just like, wow. And then she wanted to buy more when it had gone down in price. And then the next time I contacted her about it, maybe the day after or 2 days later, she was literally photoshopping her, like photoshopping profile picture options. She actually tweeted them out at one point where, so she didn't end up using these ones, but where are they? Oh, maybe she deleted the tweet. There was a tweet that she had where she was like considering 2 different profile pictures that she had photoshopped up. And they were like PulseChain, like with PulseChain logos and stuff like that. And then the thing that really hit hard for me was, so she had such a positive experience from her initial HEX and PulseChain tweets that she literally got the Twitter blue check mark because of the like, and also said, she was like, I'm seriously thinking about just deleting all my other social media and just doing Twitter only. Partly because of the whole like Elon Musk push for free speech. Also the fact that this is where like all the crypto stuff is. Freedom of speech, crypto, but dominantly because of the how awesome the community is. She's seeing a lot of stuff obviously on other people's pages about freedom and all of that
crypto
sort of
does
stuff.
attract anyone who likes the idea of like being a sovereign individual. Like crypto does attract those people, that mindset. So that doesn't surprise me that she's like, she's gravitating towards Twitter as her like main platform. If she's into free speech, yeah, that makes sense.
She photoshopped this entire logo, which is like
That's
this.
Cool.
There's like a pattern that she's put onto the PulseChain logo, and it's got this exploding shit in the background, and then obviously this is like a cartoonified version of her. And
what's her Twitter? Put her Twitter in the chat.
It's illegally Eve. So like, I just
pop it here. I'll put it in the chat. Let's get her some extra. How many followers has she got?
Yeah, so one of the ideas I had was I wanted her to get to 1K. I'll put it in the private chat because I think you need to be able to. I wanted to try and get her to 1K followers before I got to, or around the same time I got to 10K, so she could celebrate. We could celebrate that milestone together. Unfortunately, and I was actually telling people to unfollow me and follow her. It didn't work though. I hit 10K, and now I think I'm on 10.2. But she's actually already got 663, so it's actually not that far away from a K. But yeah, if you guys want to follow her,
okay, guys and girls, go
HEX
and follow Illegally Eve. Oh, did it take it away? Did it? What happened? Did that take it away?
Maybe it doesn't let you post at symbols or whatever.
No, it's there. It's there. It should be there.
But yeah, so
Illegally Eve. Go follow.
I've just been so impressed, and then she was like messaging me, being like, "We need to get like matching HEX and PulseChain like merch so that we can take like twin photos, like where we're like wearing the same shit." So yeah, we're gonna go large. We're gonna go large.
Let me play the hexagon of the week thing.
Lots of plum trees, a sheep, a two, a kangaroo, a clothesline out the back.
That's a knife. All I had was me undies on.
Hexagon of the week, Illegally Eve. Congratulations.
Too cool. I'll tell her to watch this stream if she's not already.
I want to see those follows go up. I'm gonna go and follow her as well.
I'm gonna remove.
Oh, by the way, guys and girls.
Oh, and
my
actually,
Twitter handle here is at the word 40 and then the number 3 and then OG at 43 OG. If you're not following me on Twitter, go follow me.
There's another thing we need to shout out. Hex Scout.
Oh yeah, Hex Scout. Let me bring that up.
We need to. Oh, sorry, I can bring that back up. I just thought I'd remove the source. So
Hex. Let's talk about Hex Scout. What is Hex Scout? We talked about it last week. It's the website's not working at the moment. Did you have any luck hacking into that website, tangent using ParrotOS?
I wouldn't be able to say if I did. No. That would fall under the category of self-snitching. So I'll share this screen back up. But yeah, I'm keen for this. I'm so keen for this HEX Scout.
So this is going to be like an aggregator type thing, isn't it?
Yes, it's going to be like multi-device. So you'll be able to have it on your phone, desktop, etc. Aggregate. The thing I'm most excited about is if you're holding one of the perpetuals, like so say you hold some Maxi and some Deci, it is going to give you and some like HSI stakes and some native stakes. It's going to give you a total combined T-share number.
Wow. That is sick.
That's fucking sick. And the reason it's sick, one of the main reasons it's sick is I think it's going to breathe a lot of life back into because at the moment, like Deci is under the price of HEX, I think, on both chains. Which is crazy because it's like its net underlying value has already gone up away above a HEX. So it's actually discounted below its net underlying value. And I think part of the reason for that is people don't register what it's actually worth. And I think this app could allow people to actually see what they're getting when they buy these perpetuals, that they actually are really getting equivalent T-shares. Because remember that when those perpetuals were made, the T-share rate was a lot lower as well. So it's like,
that's right.
You wouldn't even be able. Yeah, you just can't compete. You just can't compete against it. So not only, and this will sound like I'm shilling perpetuals, but like you're getting a liquid version of the stake, right? So you've got the ability to just sell it without the risk of like with the HSIs at the moment, when you try and sell them back to the contract, the ICOSA price is too low for you to actually get like a decent buyback or like for you to reclaim the actual underlying value. These ones are like fully liquid. You would never be able to compete with the bigger pays better and the T-share rate, because you can't go back in time, and you probably don't solo have the ability to max out the bigger pays better bonus. So I think once this comes out,
not only that, but not only that, they're on both chains. They're on Ethereum and on Pulse.
Yep.
On Ethereum, the end stake fee is going to probably be nothing because someone will probably pay that, or potentially they'll make a contract to pay for the end stake fee, and then everyone will just contribute a little bit, and it won't cost as much as one. So that's basically another pro of that. The only thing is that the liquidity is very, very thin for these things. So it's not like you can really buy a lot of them without pushing the price against yourself.
Yes, if you're a large scale, like you're saying, if you're a large scale participant.
Yeah. So I think there's like 100,000 Ethereum and maybe 150 or 120 worth of liquidity on Pulse.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Well, when things like, if attention did go back onto those assets, you get benefits in all directions. Like there would be maybe more people willing to participate in the pools. You know what I mean? Like more activity means there's more fees, etc. But I'm just giving one example of something that I'm excited about, to be able to see all of that as one stat, where you're like, okay, this is the actual T-shares that I've got, that takes everything into account, rather than having to like manually count, be like, oh, okay, this says I've got this many T-shares, but then I also do have that Maxi or something like that.
Yeah, It's hard to work out. Like, and also that one that I've been looking at and using called hexbase.de/service/staker. That website is being decommissioned. So they're not going to run it anymore. However, you can run it locally. How good's that? He's going to open source it, so you'll be able to run it yourself.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's
the other thing that I'm assuming that this thing does is that it'll cover both chains. That's a fairly safe assumption. I'm sure you agree. The thing that I don't know whether it does it or not, I hope it does, but they could implement it even if it doesn't have it at the start, is for you to be able to put in multiple addresses. So then it would not only be combining across multiple different types of stakes, but also combining across multiple wallets. And that would be pretty cool if you don't care about the potential docs risk. But there's a chance
and
that
it's not a direct doxing. It's just more
it's
an
not a full
association
docs.
doxing. It's an association of addresses doxing.
Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah. It doesn't dox. It doesn't dox that it's you. It just doxes, and potentially only to them. Potentially only to their.
Yeah. Well, it depends. It sort of depends, dude. It depends.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on a lot of stuff. So Fatty.io, which is another favorite one of mine that's in a similar idea to this, which is kind of like multi-chain, multi-asset, multi-protocol monitoring of your portfolio. Papa B asked one of the founders, I think it was Buck, point blank in a Twitter space, saying, what's your policy for things to do with privacy, like this and this and this and this? And Buck answered all the questions the way that I want them to be answered, which is, we don't store data, we don't do any kind of data capture shit, we don't try and sell your data, we don't, there's none of that shit. So obviously you need to verify that that's actually happening, but we know that at least when things are built from people within the HEX community,
they can't verify
adopted,
that that's not happening.
The Richard Hart ethics.
You need to take your own precautions when you're using.
Obviously, obviously. But at least it's better than say companies that that part of their business model is collecting and selling your data. So at least
hang on. I want to hear what Stephen has to say here. I hope you enjoy Hex Scout. All the sackers for free Pulse have been scammed, and at least half our funds kept by the Hex Scout developers. Okay, what does that mean? I don't get it. What's free Pulse?
No. Free Pulse, I think, was the faucet, and it wasn't a scam. It just got fucked by the high fees. Remember? And as in, let me just assume that I think it was like freepulse.io. Well, that wasn't a scam.
But sackers, what's sacrifice?
So I want
to say something about sacrifices, by the way. People are very, let me just bring this down for a second. Everyone is too willing. Like, people just have to say, I'm coming out with some shit. There's a sacrifice. People are so willing to give away their money for something that you potentially have no idea is going to... Do you know why I sacrificed for... Excuse me. Do you know why it was a reasonable thing to sacrifice for Pulse or PulseX? It's because it's a sacrifice run by someone who's proven themselves at creating something. They've proven themselves. So, it's a sacrifice is a sacrifice, and you have to see it that way. It means you are giving up that thing. And usually it comes with the words, with no expectations of work from others. That's why they're calling it a sacrifice. And it's no surprise to me that when someone like Richard Hart does a sacrifice, there's going to be 101 other people doing sacrifices, and there's going to be scammers out there. So people have to be very, very careful with that shit. Be careful what you sacrifice for. Get all the information. And, you know, if anyone's been scammed by sacrificing for something, man, I feel bad for you. That's bad. You know, that it's not cool. It's not cool. But unfortunately, that's what happens. There's a lot worse shit that happens in crypto, but that's one of the things that happens. People copycat good, legitimate behavior, and they copycat it and pair it up with shitty behavior. So I mean, I don't know what these guys have done. I know nothing about what you've just said, Stephen. I know absolutely nothing about it, but that's what happens in crypto, dude. This is what happens.
I've got something here that's quite important, is that on their landing page, they literally said that they're refunding all of the money that was sent, which, by the way, day 43 is correct, that a sacrifice technically means no expectations. So they could have said, well, we told you no expectations. Now you get nothing because you sacrificed the money, i.e. gifted it to us, and we don't have to give it back. But on their landing page, if you go to freepulse.io, it explains the situation and says because of the inability for legal reasons for them to continue with the product that they were going to do, they're, you know, a benevolent entity has decided to completely refund all the funds to the people that sent in. So it's not a scam.
But by the way, for anyone else, I mean, what I'm saying about sacrificing and stuff, that's not aimed at anyone who's doing a sacrifice now. That's just because there was a comment about someone getting, like, about scammers and sacrificing. It's got nothing to do with if there's other sacrifices going on. You guys are grown adults, I assume. I assume there's no, you know, kids watching this, you know, who would.
Dude, that is one of the crazy things about crypto, though. I know that
you got to do your own research. You got to research your stuff, man.
I'm not going to say I did. I'm not going to say I did, but as in, let me word it like this. I know that if I was at high school age, I would absolutely do crypto. Like, there's no way I wouldn't do crypto. I just know that from, like, stuff. So
didn't you
like,
hang on? Didn't you do crypto?
So I just know that because, like, my friends and I were tech oriented and we were interested in computers and shit like that, and we were also interested in money, like most teenage boys are. I think, like, not necessarily in our community, from what I've seen, everyone's adults, but I know, like, I remember, man, I was watching a stream once. It was a Tone Vase stream, and a comment came in the chat as a question, asked him, hey, I'm 14 and I was watching your video on trading or something, like, I've got these cryptos, what do you think I should buy next, or some shit like that. And he was just like, whoa, like, if you're underage, then you are not meant to be trading crypto. That was the first time where I was just like, yeah, it's so obvious that kids are going to be doing this shit.
It's funny, like, the kids I've spoken to, like, just like kids of family, basically family friends who are, like, in their early 20s, and they are all, like, young. They're like young girls, and none of them are interested in crypto at all. I haven't asked any of the guys. I should ask. Got
like,
a couple of friends
you are allowed to buy assets. So adults can buy assets on behalf of minors. Like, and I know in crypto, it's like, there's no rules yet, but if we start to do, like, sort of like legacy comparisons, you're allowed to buy an asset and have it like that it's your kid's asset, even if they're under 18. So all the people that
can't you start working
with, like,
when you're
HEX stakes
15?
and stuff like that is all legal, I think. It's just that
you can work when you're 15 and 9 months. 15 and 9 months in Victoria. I'm talking about my state where I live in, and I think it's all of Australia. At 15 and 9 months, you can work. if you can work and earn money and be taxed at the marginal rate, you can own shit at that age. Like, what sort of shit is that? Getting kids to work and then not allowing them to own shit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, look, in crypto, there's no actual rules. So there are like, you can't stop, like, well, you can't stop them anyway. But even if you could, it's like, you need to make a rule before someone can follow the rule. And there's no rule about, they haven't made a rule about whether kids are allowed or not allowed to invest in crypto. So, because like you said, they're allowed to go and buy an item. And if the government refuses to give guidance on what the fuck these things even are, then how does the kid know whether it's any different to buying a bicycle?
Kids are allowed to own shit, but kids are allowed to
They're
own
allowed
shit.
to own shit, but they're not allowed to go on, like, hop on eToro and shit and fucking start trading.
How do you know?
Like, I'm almost certain you need to be over 18 to use eToro.
You might, do you know what it might be? It might be that there's a law saying that you can't register as a user of one of those services unless you're over 18.
Yeah, can you sign contracts as a minor? I don't think you can. So that would be the problem, is that they can't make you sign a disclaimer if you're a fucking minor.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be legal
what it
reasons.
is.
So maybe
But
this corporately enforced, like maybe it's corporate enforcement and not government.
But I guess the point is that if you do a transaction with someone and
eToro is 18.
So if you're not doing that, what if you've earned money, you go to the bank, withdraw some, let's say you withdraw $1,000 of money that you've earned in a job, and then you just, local Bitcoins and just, not that I don't think it even exists anymore, but like just bear with me for the sake of this example. And then you just buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin off someone and you just do the transaction. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to purchase. And then the thing would be that when you'd probably, if you're doing a tax return, you probably need to declare that. And by the way, I'm not a tax advisor. I don't know anything about tax, but I'm just running through this example. At that point, when you acquire it, you would need to write down what you paid for it, how much it was, and then at the end of that financial year, give those details to your accountant to, work out, or at least note it down until you sell it, right? But you can own it. You just can't. I guess you just can't register with like they're saying in the chat, with these with these sites that want you to give them details, and you can't sign the transaction. You can't, not the transaction. You can't sign the disclaimer. So yep. But yeah, young kids can buy whatever they like, can't they? If you can work and earn money. It's
a grey area. Like this situation's a grey area because the government's
you can buy a car.
Because since the governments have refused to give guidance on what the fuck these things even are classified as, then a kid certainly can't. If adults can't even work it out, then a kid certainly can't be expected to know what it is in terms of like what it's classed as. And so, but hang on, but you're assuming. I just feel like you're coming at it. I see it this way. If there's no guidance and there's nothing, then there's nothing to say that you can't do it. That's what I'm saying.
So a kid could do it. They just maybe can't log into eToro, for example. They can't use that way. Okay, I thought you were saying the opposite, dude. So you're right. We're actually saying the same thing.
Yeah. I'm saying it's a grey area, and it's a grey area, and it's a grey area of legality, and it's certainly can't be expected that a kid will know the answer, so they can literally just do whatever they want until some guidance is given on what it actually is and you can't set a rule about something that you haven't said what that thing actually is classified as and be like, oh, kids aren't. It's like, well, that makes sense, right? That would force the governments into a position where they actually have to make a comment about what these things, how they're actually classifying these things. Which, as far as I know, none of them have done so yet, which is fucking retarded.
T-Bird says you can't own crypto. The block. T-Bird, stop busting my chops, dude. You know what I mean.
Yeah, that's technically accurate.
I know.
Never actually.
It's technically.
That's another
accurate.
argument that people could use. Yeah, but that one applies to everyone, not just children.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to cover, dude? Oh, there was one thing I wanted to cover. There was a hack on the Trezor T. Trezor T got hacked, bro. It's been a hack that's been around for 3 years, though.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
Trezor T got hacked.
Did it require physical access to the device?
Yes, it requires physical access to the device. Also, if there's a passphrase, if you've got your stuff protected by a passphrase, then it also doesn't count. Can't be hacked.
Yeah, just
if there's.
I'm pretty sure any hardware wallet. It's not. It wouldn't just be the Trezor T. I'm pretty sure any hardware wallet, if someone has physical access to it and the right equipment, they can.
But do you know what the hack is? You know, on the Trezor T, you can put in up to an 8-digit PIN to log in. The hack is actually brute forcing that PIN. So there is
it's not extracting the seed phrase.
No, but then they go in and extract the seed phrase because they get it, they unlock it. Right? Once it's unlocked, they can extract the seed phrase from an unlocked device. Right? So there is Trezor.
I didn't think you could get seed phrases just because the device is unlocked. I thought.
No, in this hack, the way they do it is by brute forcing the PIN, they can then get to the next stage.
The device shouldn't ever be giving up the seed phrase. It should only ever be giving up signatures. But maybe they're just doing a combined attack, unlock it, and then put it on a freaking testing bed and I think
that's what I think they're actually taking a chip off it. They're taking like a chip or something off it and then putting it somewhere.
So this is a very unrealistic.
No, but when would
anyone have access to your fucking hardware device? How would that be possible?
The only thing I can think of,
no one ever even sees mine. No other human being ever lays eyes on my hardware devices. How the fuck would someone? How would someone have it in their possession? It'd have to be someone
type situation where it gets seized.
They confiscate the device off of you, and then you think you're all G, and then you're actually not. So
there's this thing with the Trezor T where it's got this function called SD Protect, and you can actually put a micro SD card in the side of it, and you have to use the command line interface to activate SD Protect. And what it does is it puts some information on the SD card, which is it's called the salt, and that it uses that information, which basically encrypts the PIN. And without the SD card,
there's a fucking slot here that I've never noticed. There's a fucking a micro SD slot on the side of this thing.
Yeah,
I never saw that shit. I guess because I've got it on this side of me, that slot was always facing away. What the fuck?
So that's one thing that you can. The other thing you can do, which
it uses that as entropy or some shit,
yeah. So without that SD card, it just asks for the SD card. It just says, "I need the SD card," and then you can't. You need to have that SD card. So you keep the SD card in a different spot, and then when you use it, you put the SD card in, and then put in the PIN.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But you have to activate it.
The device becomes it's a hardware. It's like a hardware 25th word.
Yeah, sort of. And what it does is
don't have that card in there, it won't go to the right spot.
they can't execute upon that hack because they can't brute force the PIN number easily. Before, that was just like 8 numbers, very fucking easy brute force. But they can't do it in this way because of this SD card. It doesn't.
Oh wait,
so
the SD card replaces the PIN, not the 25th word.
No, you still need the PIN,
both.
but you need the PIN and the SD card. So they can't.
Okay.
If they get the device, they also need the SD card to be able to brute force it. Without the SD card, they can't. They can't do it. Does that make sense?
Ivan on Tech made an interesting comment about this, where he said, ultimately, if you assume, like, if you get real paranoid and you assume that if someone at the manufacturer or someone in the supply line, but it would have, let's just say someone at the manufacturer. So it's before it gets boxed up with all the holograms and shit like that. If they were to put basically malware, hardware version of malware, like a compromised device, like an exploited device, and send that shit to you, all of this stuff would be literally meaningless. It wouldn't matter. You could go to every single measure that you've got, and if the device has got hardware in it that literally just phones home and tells them your fucking seed phrase, you're cooked. However, if you do a multi-sig with multiple different devices from different manufacturers, so say you use one Ledger, one Trezor, and like one of these other manufacturers like Elipal or like Titan or whatever, maybe they're the same manufacturer, like whatever, Cold Card. The statistical probability that not only that all of those devices are backdoored, but that then those people who backdoored them would collude together to get the multi-sig to work is so fucking unlikely.
Multi-sig
it wouldn't matter if it wouldn't even matter if they were all backdoored.
Yeah.
So a multi-sig with devices from different so each seed phrase is on a device.
That is a very high level right there. I just want to address something in the chat.
I think if you were rocking like Richard Hart level of crypto, you would need to do something like that. Because otherwise you'd start to get paranoid about supply line attacks and shit.
So also just in relation to the SD card, so the information on the SD card itself is something that you can get an SD card and format it FAT32 and then just copy this information onto it. And the good thing about it is you can actually use the same SD card for multiple devices, and each device's information or data will be saved in the Trezor folder on that SD card. But you can just you could potentially encrypt that SD card information and save it somewhere else. So you could make multiple copies of it. It's not necessarily the case. If you don't back it up, and I wouldn't say you're fucked, because if you've got your words, if you've got your seed words, you're not actually fucked. So I wouldn't say you're fucked if you haven't backed up your micro SD card information, then the worst thing that can happen is you need to start from scratch and load everything up and just do it again. Now, the other really good thing that they've got with Trezor that I think it would be worth people using if they could work out how to turn it on. It's not like the simplest thing in the world for just your average user, is the wipe pin. There's actually, with Trezor, you can have something called a wipe pin. So imagine that you keep your Trezor or somewhere, and then you just keep this wipe pin with it. So if some guy or someone steals your Trezor and they have the pin, they're going to think automatically that that's the pin for your Trezor, and they're going to put it in. And then when they put it in themselves, they are going to wipe the fucking device.
Dude, that's sick. That's actually sick. They'd be like, haha, this fucking dumbass is keeping, because some people are dumb enough to do that, to keep the password literally on a post-it stamp with next to the computer. they would, and that's their best shot at guessing the pin is the one that's written down. Like, as in, otherwise you'd virtually have no chance of getting it unless you've got like some sophisticated brute force attack. So they'd be like, what's the harm in just trying this pin and then nuke it? That's fucking sick. However, I was going to say about that SD card, the thing that would concern me with it is if you then lose that SD card or it gets corrupted or some shit, you're basically
fine,
fucked.
dude. You've got your no, you're not. You're not fucked.
Oh, you've got your seed phrase.
You just have to format the Trezor and start again and do it all again. That's how fucked you are.
So your seed phrase still accesses the funds?
Yeah, the pin is just a layer of just on the device that you're using to access the shit you've already put on there.
But we never clarified whether it's just a pin replacement or whether it's the 25th word. If it's acting like the 25th word, then it does matter. So hopefully not.
No.
Okay.
It's not acting like the 25th word.
It's not changing the derivation paths and shit like that. It's literally just another way of logging into the device. So
it's
your
like
seeds,
the key to open the door to the device.
So if you lose that SD card or it becomes corrupted, it's the same as if you lose the hardware device or it gets corrupted. It's exactly the same
USB-C. The USB-C pins on the device are actually deactivated when the Trezor is locked. They're actually deactivated. So if you've got
the actual data pins.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Deactivated when it's locked. So I like this imagine from Free Speech. Imagine no coiners listening to this stuff. Yeah. I can't imagine no coiners sticking around for 2 hours and 12 minutes to listen to this. But hey, I'm sure there's some people out there.
It would be
difficult. Take back to jiu-jitsu, I used to watch black belts spar and do things that I knew I couldn't do, but I wanted to be able to do one day. So I don't subscribe to the dumb it down for everyone all the time. I think that when there's shit that there's plenty of people out there who are going to say, hey, maybe I'll have a look into this thing. If you haven't got any command line experience, I wouldn't suggest going and trying this SD card protect or wipe thing because you need to be familiar with it and you'll just end up familiar with that stuff. Don't bother probably. Anyway, we got
1,000,000%.
You want to?
I think we covered it.
Yeah, we have.
Oh, as my outro, I'll say that Richard Hart retweeted the Pulsify your profile picture link where you can go to a website and you put your current Twitter picture or any picture that you want to be your profile picture and you upload it to the site and it generates one that you can then put back on Twitter as your profile picture and you'll get the lovely PulseChain gradient around so that we can show a united front when we're in Twitter spaces or just on Twitter generally. And so I'm impressed and think that'll really help the adoption of that situation because people
on that note,
Richard Hart.
Have to, I need to get out before we...
Oh yeah, you go. Close it up. 1 minute.
I'm just going to say thank you to everyone. No, we got less. I got about 10 seconds left, just enough time for this.
Hello, everybody. It's Richard Hart here. I just want to let you know that the PulseChain.com mainnet has launched and PulseX.com on that mainnet has launched as well. I hope you guys are all enjoying it. We waited a couple years for this and it's finally here.